Gavin Raiders and Planting Justice are listed as, I think, as a consultant, or
Yes.
and Gavin's going to be on the panel.
Yes.
So perhaps you could, could we talk about maybe Planting Justice and your involvement with those guys,
Yeah.
and that sort of like urban food
Yeah, I thought
activism
about
scene?
that a little later after we were talking about the linkages, because I get all into my thing and then I forget about other things. So, and you mentioned it a little bit. So that's one role that Gavin in Planting Justice does play in looking at. So we've got our produce distribution warehouse that supplies food to Mandela. Both of us have produce waste that can be composted.
Mm-hmm.
So a group like Planting Justice that does urban farming can take that compost waste and then turn it into a permaculture activity in the city. So it could be a backyard garden, it could be an urban farm, it could be just a green space, etc. So it does kind of close that loop, and I know you mentioned it, but we didn't bring it back out on the film.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you want to talk about Gavin a little bit and Planting Justice. You work with them quite a bit.
I won't talk about Gavin without talking about
Hooray. That's right.
They're a duo, Planting
They
Justice. We work with them in a variety of ways. They really consult our youth team because, all of the stuff that we described about these linkages with the produce distribution and everything like that, one of the ways that we do this, because again, I mentioned earlier, we're a community leadership incubator as well. So we're not just about small businesses, but we're about community leadership. So that comes into place with like the worker owners not having a political voice because they pay a lot of property taxes, a lot of sales tax, so they can have a bigger voice. But also we do that with the young people. And so we have the West Oakland Youth Standing Empowered, and that's where we do the key work with Planting Justice. And so Planting Justice trains our youth team on a variety of things. So they have a rooftop garden where we go and we understand how do you plant things, how do you grow things, how do you select different crops to grow, what is a cover crop, what is a food forest. And the way that we work, we have a project in East Oakland that was gifted to us, not to own, but to cultivate and to build up. It's called the Burbank Garden, which was named after Biden, was he? Or,
Yeah, I had that history. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm
it
not
anymore.
sure, but it's a guy from
Louis
the history
Burbank or something,
of Oakland who donated this land to the city, and they wanted to use it because it was a school next door or whatnot, and they wanted to incorporate gardening and science and all of these things into the curriculum. Right. So anyway, they did that for a while, but the space fell into disrepair because in the 90s, I guess nobody cared about gardening. Everybody was about suburbia. We'll have big factories. No one really wanted to fool with any urban gardening at that point. And so anyway, in what was it, like 2007? So a guy from the city came to us. Our youth group had heard about the things that we were doing around community development. We did a park cleanup. We did a transportation plan, got some sidewalks repaired, got some bus benches installed, was really gaining some momentum. And so he said, hey, would your youth team be interested in, kind of like caretaking this garden? Of course, we said yeah, because we're like naive and young and just want to do good. But really, we couldn't do that without the expertise of Planting Justice. I'm not sure how they got involved with the garden.
They got involved. Our youth team took a permaculture class with Guillermo and indigenous permaculture in San Francisco. And so in one of the classes, Gavin was there. I don't know if Hale was in the class, but I know they definitely met up with Gavin. And our youth team, they really liked the permaculture class, but they felt it was so theoretical. And they weren't interested in a lot of, theory. They wanted to get their hands in the dirt. And Gavin was the same way. So they immediately connected, and he started working with them and connected us to a group called Common Vision. And they brought fruit trees up, and we planted a fruit orchard at the school. 38 fruit trees were planted. And it's very interesting. I mean, really, these hippie people come, that's the only way I can think to describe them, in a colorful bus. And they work with young people. So it was really interesting to see this kind of dichotomy of culture of this young hippie group that's been driving around in a biofueled bus all summer, planting fruit trees with, you know, these inner city middle school students, and that was kind of a fun day. So that's how we connected. And then Gavin and Hale really embraced the school, Explore Prep Middle School, and the whole concept around building that as a community garden space. And we don't have the expertise to do it, and so we really need their partnership, and they've done an amazing job developing those young people and our young people as well, and they're going to teach us how to build a neighborhood farm.
Yeah. And so just as a point of clarification, the Burbank Garden is adjacent to Explore College Preparatory Middle School. However, Explore Prep Middle School will be closing. By the time you probably like edit this video, it might be done. So it's closing at the end of this school
budget
semester.
cuts?
Yeah, well, yeah, budget cuts in the city of Oakland. The school was under-attended and underperforming. So it's a whole history of that spot, because there was another school there for a while too, and that school had to leave, and it's a whole lot going on there. But what we're trying to do is, because our plan was to work in conjunction with the school. You know, we were trying to, like, we had got one foot in the door. They let us come in on one day of the week at an after-school program to do some gardening with some kids, and it's been going really well. So we thought we'd take it to the next level, get them involved in, you know, reintroducing the garden to their science curriculum or to their, you know, home economics or whatever, or econ for that matter. But the school's closing. And so it's kind of like made us speed up our plan. So now we're in the process of recruiting people from the community to caretake the garden, because it was going to be us and the school kids, but now we have to have somebody else. And eventually we wanted it to be like this anyway. But so what the linkage between Planting Justice and WISE, West Oakland Youth Standing and Empowered, lies in the young people's ability to door knock, canvas, articulate what it is that we're doing, invite people to come. And then Planting Justice provides the expertise on what do you do when you get there. Because we want people to come in and we want to plant, like Dana said, we've already planted the 30 fruit trees or 38 fruit trees. There's another piece of the garden that we need to develop, which is like 20 raised beds. They've, like I said, fallen into disrepair over the years, so we're going to like fix them up and then plant new things in there. But WISE will be responsible, along with Planting Justice, but more so on WISE, to recruit community members. And so we've been door knocking a couple times, and it was really nice. Community really embraced it, and they're really excited. We're going to have a work party sometime in late June, where we invite them in to plant stuff and kind of get to know the garden. And it's interesting, the fruit trees, we thought they wouldn't bear fruit until next year, but they're starting to bear fruit. So this summer they'll get probably nectarines off the trees and peaches.
Cool.
And what I really appreciate about Planting Justice's approach is that they are all about this community engagement piece as well. It's not, it's like we're not about going into communities and opening stores. That's not what we're about. They're not about going into communities and planting farms, but they're about working with the people in the neighborhood to understand even what type of green space do you want. You know, here's an opportunity for a green space. We have the expertise to help you create it. What do you want to put here? And so I really align with them on their approach around, you know, it comes from the community and we're just more of a resource arm.
And it's a really cool thing about them. I don't know if you all know, but the way that they structured their funding mechanism, what they do is they have some private things that they do. Not private. I don't want to make it seem like they're doing backroom deals, but they charge people who have a certain income to build backyard gardens, and then from that money they're able to subsidize to the point where they can do it for free at low-income people's backyards.
Clever the way they set up their nonprofit.
So it's really interesting, and they're new, but they're making a lot of progress, and people are getting to know them, and to be they just incorporated not too long ago, and they have a very good reputation. So.